So we begin again with primal flow evaluation. We're going to start with 10 lots of ankle, plantar and dorsiflexion, sitting nice and tall, shoulders packed. We're following a similar format to the last workout where Shannon is going to mirror me. So we've moved now into 10 ankle circles one way. We're then going to repeat that by going 10 the other way. In today's workout, we're going to be doing a little bit of game playing as well. You'll see we've just got a variation on the game we played last week, which was Ant. It's a very cooperative, interactive kind of game where your participants are forced to work together to accomplish a task. Moving into a lying position, we now go 5 neck rolls side to side. So again, we're just checking that movement should be the same each side. I know for me, my neck is not great. I swim quite a few hours and I breathe to one side. So, this is always a good check for me. And then into active hamstring flexibility. So this is a scissor bent leg raise, and we're going to do 5 on each leg, and then move into just a different variation of this, which is called archer. So imagine you're pulling a bow apart with your feet. So the straight leg is the front of the bow, the back leg is the one pulling the string towards you. And again, we're going to repeat 5 on either side. This is a great active hip mobility drill. You'll find very good for hips and may even be very difficult for some of you if you don't have great hamstring flexibility. You need to be able to get your legs up quite high. Then moving into figure 4, so we just create some space and we're going to do 5 swaps in and out of figure 4 on each side. So swapping the hips over, backhand planted, chest up nice and tall, making sure just to be moving nice and freely through the hips. Discovered this week actually some people can't even get into this position, so if you can't get into this position, it's probably a fair sign that you have some mobility issues. So 5 on each side, and then we move into the lunge position. So we repeat this with 5 lunges on each side. So again, this is checking the front ankle's dorsiflexion, so the heel stays flat on the ground. This is checking the back ankle's plantar flexion. It's giving me a little bit of hip mobility. The front leg is very similar to half of my squat, so the plant leg is what my squat would look like if you cut me in half. And I'm getting thoracic extension too. Now, moving straight into a creeping position. So remember, creeping is knees on the ground, and we're going to creep on the spot and touch the opposite shoulder. We're going to build on this in just a moment. So we do 5 of these on each side, and we're going to build on this by moving to a crawling on the spot position. So crawling on the spot will then be knees off the ground, and you'll see I'm a little bit wobbly on the first rep, and then I kind of get myself under control, whereas Shannon does a couple and then starts to have a bit of a giggle because she's a little bit wobbly. So moving through these, we've got 5 of these on the spot, and then straight down into cobra position, and we do 5 back bends. So breathe out as you arch up, concentrate on extending the spine, making as much space as possible in the back. Breathe in on the way down, nice big deep belly breath, and extend and breathe out on the way up. After you've done 5 of these, we're going to stay in that prone position. We just need to make a little bit more space here. So we now do the same shoulder mobility S pattern that we have been using from a sitting position. We're just doing it from a lying position now, and we're going to check 5 on each side. So this is a great test for both internal external rotation, abduction and adduction, as well as flexion extension of the shoulder. It's very similar to the FMS shoulder mobility test, and you can see Shannon has much greater shoulder mobility than I. She can almost touch her hands together on both sides, whereas mine are about a foot apart. So now make some more space again, and we're going to move into just a really basic rolling pattern. It's called a sweep roll. So you'll see I take my left hand, sweep it around in front of me, watch my hand, and then actually use my right hand to push me over. I cup that hand around my head, look through the hole that's between my elbow, and reach for the wall. So don't throw your arm over, actually use your arm to reach out. So this is a reflexive core pattern, and your feet should be off the ground. So you'll note my feet are off the ground. Shannon actually uses her feet a little bit to roll herself over, which is cheating and it's naughty. So we should always learn not to cheat. So everything should be nice and gentle. And once we've done 3 of these on each side, we're going to grab the towel and we're going to move into the start of our ant game. So the goal here is that Shannon is going to get told where to go. Her eyes are going to be shut the whole time. And we're actually going to move from the corner sort of on the right hand side of the camera into the opposite left hand corner. So there's just me explaining it. Shannon's going to have her eyes shut the whole time. I'm going to give her directions. So just a tip on playing this game, when you give your partner directions, give them directions for the direction they need to move. So for instance, when we start moving here, I tell Shannon to move forwards, don't say backwards, even though you're going backwards. So I tell her to come forwards, and now I tell her to go to her left, so she moves to her left. And you'll see why this is important in just a minute. So if you make a mistake here, so if someone says to go to the left and you go to the right, or vice versa, and the towel drops, the deal is you do a push-up. So we're circling around, we're moving backwards and forwards, and we're still working to get to that opposite corner. Now, this is really just an excuse for me to flash my butt at the camera, so you can check out my very expensive Lululemon pants. They don't sponsor me, they are just very nice pants. And we're working into that opposite corner. Once we get into the opposite corner, Shannon's actually going to be in charge. So we'll swap roles, she'll have her eyes open, and I'll have my eyes shut. What I said before about be careful the way you give directions, you'll see here in a second, she tells me to go one way, I go the direction she tells me to go, and she actually goes the same direction herself. So she said go right, I went right, and she went to her right instead of following me to the left, because obviously with my eyes shut I can't see what's going on, and she had to do a push-up. So the whole point of this game is basically involve the other senses, work with a partner, so there's social interaction. It's good fun. We're working through crawling the whole time. So we've crawled forwards and backwards and left and right, and we've done circles. So we've got a whole bunch of cross-body stability going on. We're sort of in a moving plank the entire time. And you'll find that this is a great way to get in a lot of extra core work. It's really quite exhausting. It doesn't seem like it to start with, but I can tell you that 30 to 60 minutes, 30 to 60 seconds, sorry, of non-stop crawling is quite a lot of work. So we make it into the opposite corner, and then as the last part of our warm-up, just to fire the body up just a little bit more, we're going to do a little bit of very light plyometric work. So we're basically going to use sort of a sideways frog hopping. You could just as easily do this forward. We're simply going to go to one side, back to the center, back to the other side, back to the center, and then one more time. So Shannon just mirrors me again, and after this we'll be ready to train. So we go frog hop, back to the center, another one to the side, back to the center. We're going to check the squat again once we finish and make sure we're ready to train. So this is the last bit. You should be nice and warm and loose, ready to train, and we'll see you next time.